She doesn't even go here.
I'm bi, actually.
Excuse me. Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Hi, I'm Kurt Homo, and I'll be auditioning for the role of kicker.
Hello! Welcome in, you guys. So happy to see you today on Not So Straight Nerds. We have a very exciting conversation on the new release of Jurassic World Rebirth. Anyways,
That's close.
So it sounds like that. I am your host, Luke.
And I'm your other host, Alicia.
And I'm very excited to be talking about this today. This I think is going to be maybe not the biggest movie of the year, but it's certainly going to be up there.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly has one of the strongest starts that we've seen.
Yeah, this one, Lilo and Stitch are the two so far. We've got Avatar, we've got Zootopia. We'll see what Superman and Fantastic Four does. I think those are going to be our big heavy hitters. Or like most likely to be the biggest heavy hitters, for sure.
A lot of people, I think, were saying this movie had a high chance at reaching $1 billion, because a lot of the other entries in this franchise have before.
Yeah.
So we'll maybe get a chance to look at that, maybe see how it compares among with the last couple of movies in this franchise.
Yeah.
And definitely go through our thoughts. But before we get too much deeper into this conversation...
Vibe check.
Right. So anyways, I'm feeling great. Maybe a little hungry.
Great. That's great.
No, we're not going to do that anymore.
No, that was too far. I agree. Anyways.
Wow, that's a really nice limit you found.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, I'm also doing well. I'm excited
Could fool
to
me.
film. Do I not seem like I'm having a fun time? I'm gonna choose my words specifically or carefully.
Right.
Anyways, this is gonna be a rough video, guys. It's fine.
It's doing great. Also, I'm officially caught up on my goal to watch like one movie for each day of the year, and I'm tracking that by month. So essentially, I can be like, oh, what day is it of the month? Oh, have I watched that many movies?
Yeah.
Let's fix that.
Yeah.
I'm officially caught up to today.
We watched 4 movies yesterday, so we actually are caught up before even watching a movie today.
Correct.
So
it's great.
But we're going to probably.
Great.
We'll see.
Oh, most likely.
Yeah.
But
We've got a few good options.
We do.
Anyways.
But so this is going to start with our non-spoiler thoughts on this movie. Of course, also this is a movie in theaters right now.
Yeah.
Please feel free to go and see it and come back to our little episode and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you guys thought on this movie.
Yeah.
So into our non-spoiler talk, we're doing pros and cons. Maybe before
very
that,
new thing for us.
It's very on brand. But also very on
Very
brand
on
is
brand.
me forgetting that I like to do this before announcing we're doing pros and cons. I feel like I do that every episode. So what did you expect from this movie?
I was actually really excited for this because I thought the first, I don't know if it was a teaser trailer, if it was the first full trailer, but one of them really impressed me, especially after I'm not the biggest fan of Jurassic World Dominion. It definitely has its fans and its haters. It's controversial, but I was not one of the fans. So when I heard about this one, it's like I wanted to be apprehensive, but then it's Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey and Mahershala Ali. Like, come on, what a trio!
Yeah,
what a trio!
That is a great trio.
Yeah, and then the trailer looked scary. They're going back to, I thought this is not true. I think, unless we missed something. But I thought they were going back to the original park. I don't think they are. I think they're just going to some island. But it seems like, there's labs there, and it's like they're going to the aftermath of what used to be a lab area, working area, and now it's just the remnants and the scariest dinosaurs that are left. So, yeah, I thought that was an interesting concept, especially when we got a first look at the main dinosaur, and it was like a combination of a T-Rex and a like the alien from the Alien movies.
It's
So
giving
cool.
Rancor from Star Wars.
It looked really cool, and I was like, okay, this actually looks good. And I was excited like that up until like the early reviews started coming out about it, and I heard it wasn't the best. Like, it was scary, but it's missing the wonder. That some people were saying they didn't like the family element. They thought they were like that storyline was boring. I don't know. I didn't hear great things, but not horrible things. So then I was like, I don't know what to expect, but I hope it's decent.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like it was better than decent. I enjoyed it. So, yeah.
I think my perspective, honestly, probably throughout the whole like span of my knowledge of this movie, was first I heard that Gareth Edwards, the director, was going to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the first director to be working on Rogue One.
Yeah.
And then he got replaced by the director who went on to go do the Andor show.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went on to have full creative control basically over the creator.
Yeah.
Which I really liked both of those movies. And I think the
me
creator
too.
shows you a lot of what he brought into Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting being a fan of the creator and Andor and Rogue One,
Yeah.
because essentially there's the split between these. Tony Gilroy is the other director that came in, and he did Andor. I think it's really interesting to see where these two directors came together to make Rogue One,
Yeah.
like the amazing movie that it is,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that both directors like have strong suits that the others don't have,
Yeah.
and it's like they work. I don't know. It almost feels like they're like missing their other directorial half to
Yeah.
like become like one of the strongest directorial teams ever. I mean, it could just be a one and done and just a how did it happen kind of thing, but
Just kind of fate
But
kind of thing.
and even though I like both of those other projects,
Mm-hmm.
Rogue One is like gonna be the best thing I think these people have
It's
ever
like
made.
perfect. I love that movie.
So I think
Yeah,
I think
I
it's really
agree.
interesting to be a fan of their stuff separately, but to acknowledge
More
that,
so
like,
together. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's just an interesting thing. So that was the biggest uptick for me, being like, oh, I think this movie is going to be something.
Yeah.
And then the cast came out, and I'm like, okay, cool. I like ScarJo. I love Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah.
And I would even say I love ScarJo even.
Mm-hmm.
Mahershala Ali, I don't think I've seen a ton of his stuff, but I know he's a really good actor.
Yeah.
So I knew that was going to be a strong choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trailer came out. And then I was like, huh. I mean, it doesn't look bad.
Right.
And then the entire time I've always been kind of like, huh, okay. I don't know. It didn't really unlock anything that was like wowing me, I think. So
Interesting.
and then the reviews came out and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared this is going to be worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But also some of the complaints sound like something that I can like I've disagreed with people before, like,
Yeah.
oh, these plot lines didn't work. Oh, there
Yeah.
wasn't enough this in the movie. There was or like the genre change, trying to make it more horror than adventure.
Yeah.
And that stuff I've disagreed with like critics before.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that's not a great sign to hear, but I've disagreed with these points before, so I'm not that changed on my stance. And then the movie. We watched the movie. I will say, I think it's a very enjoyable and watchable movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I fear my standards were like pretty spot on for what I anticipated this movie to be.
Okay. That's fair. It definitely like wasn't perfect. It wasn't, because in my personal opinion, both trilogies have had a pattern of the first one being like really good, or at least I should say I really liked the first Jurassic Park and the first Jurassic World. So then I thought, if this is going to be the start of maybe a new trilogy, I don't know if that's the plan, but that's the pattern so far.
Sure.
Then I'm expecting this to be really good. So then I saw the reviews and I was a little scared. And I will say it's not up to that level.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoyed it. There's a really, I don't know how to describe it, but a really like tall scale for these movies because there
Sure.
are some
A
very
higher
high up
standard.
and very low down. So,
Yes,
you know,
that's very fair.
yeah, it's not like down. It's not at the bottom, but it's not at the top. So there you go.
No, that's very fair. I think it is worrying, seeing as that's the pattern.
Yeah.
As
If we're already starting.
because
Lower.
we're starting lower than we've ever started before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I fear what that means for the upcoming ones, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Give me a good pitch, and maybe
Sure.
spend a little longer cooking it.
Yeah, and maybe like really take in what worked for people here and what didn't work for people here.
Sure.
So, yeah. Decide who to listen to as well because people are going to have different opinions. So like, hear people's opinions but then kind of decide for yourself what do you want more of?
Mm-hmm.
And is there enough people that also want that? And then
Absolutely.
maybe go from there and start writing a story.
Sure. I completely agree. So going into pros and cons, do you mind if maybe I start us off?
Sure.
Sure. So let's begin with pros. And feel free to bounce off of any of mine that you share. So I think the cast, I think they do a very solid job.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, there was an interesting take I saw where it's like, yes, ScarJo, Jonathan Bailey, and Mahershala do a really great job because they're really great actors.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's the family here as well, who also do a comparable job to them and are much cheaper. And I thought that was an interesting statement that I fear I kind of agree with.
Mm-hmm.
I think ScarJo is maybe the biggest outlier among the three,
Yeah.
but I don't think the three are they aren't, I think, given enough to
Yeah.
really be like, this needed to be someone who's really good at their craft.
It's interesting because I do think the family was written with more depth and just overall they were written better. Like I would want to see more of them versus like any of the other people, the main trio. But I don't know. It's frustrating because it's like it's very clearly like they needed somebody to. They thought they needed somebody to sell their movie. I don't actually know if they do because people have always just shown up for dinosaurs.
I mean, at this point,
But-
regardless, people showed up for it. I think.
Yeah.
I
They
have to
were.
wonder if there's a way to calculate how much of that was the cast.
Yeah.
Like just inherently being in this movie, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll get more into how we feel about some of the cast more specifically. But overall, I think the cast. The cast, I would say, more so than like the writing on these characters, help this movie. Like in
Yeah.
any case, I will always really enjoy seeing ScarJo doing almost anything. I'll
Yeah.
always enjoy Jonathan Bailey doing almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do think that the family unit have a really fun dynamic.
Yeah. When I think it's fun, I will say character writing aside with the main trio, I do think it's fun that each three people bring in a different audience. I would say like Scarlett Johansson.
It's a very diverse cast.
Yeah. Well, Scarlett Johansson, and even besides that, it's like Mahershala Ali's very like. I feel like he's a more serious actor, and people see him in like an awards way. And I actually don't know if he's an Oscar winner, but he's definitely been nominated. I want to say.
I think he did.
I want to
Google
say
that.
he maybe won for the Green Book, but I
think that's where he won. Let me
Yeah.
double check on his IMDb.
But I'm not. You just never know with the Oscars. And then Scarlett Johansson's just a
He
big,
won 2
like,
Oscars.
What's the other one?
He won for The Green Book and Moonlight.
Okay, because I knew he was in Moonlight.
Supporting
I didn't know if
actor
he
for
won.
both.
Okay, well, great choices on that part because that's great. I don't know. And then Scarlett Johansson brings in. She's just like a big blockbuster star. And then Jonathan Bailey's having a huge moment with Wicked, like the huge push. He had his like Bridgerton era and a couple other small things, and then he got Wicked and had his huge moment there. Like pretty much the whole cast did of Wicked. It was just like a whole cultural like movement. Everybody loved Wicked. So I think that was just great timing on whoever was like, he's gonna be Fiyero. We're gonna cast him in our movie because people are gonna love Fiyero,
Mm-hmm.
and they were right. So yeah, I don't know. It's just very, very interesting. Good choices, good picks on their part. Whoever
Sure.
picked them. So yeah.
The casting was great. If only the
Only the
writing
writing.
was as on par as this
Yeah.
great casting.
There's like only one deep thing I can even think of on any of the characters, and it's what's his character's name? Mahershala Ali's character, but I forgot. Duncan. I should know that because it's yelled really loudly in the trailer.
What?
There's a deep thing about his character, and I don't. They like try to do something with Scarlett Johansson's character. Her name's Zora. I don't know if they really do anything with Jonathan Bailey's character.
They do something with ScarJo's character.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah,
They do something with ScarJo's character. I'm saying, do they do anything with Jonathan Bailey's?
I mean, he's like the catalyst for her change.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I
would want the
think that
writing
there's not
to
a
be
lot
better.
going on with him, and then I feel like there's probably something to be said about Mahershala's character, but I couldn't even nail that in right now off the
I
top
can
of my
think
head.
of something that they do, but I don't think they flesh it out super well. But
I'm actually looking at the writers on here, and it looks like they've been writing Twisters, and Jurassic Park as like this guy's whole career.
okay,
Just fascinating.
I mean,
Some Westworld
not
in
bad.
there, the original and the TV show.
okay, haven't seen those.
Oh, the original Westworld is good, and I've heard the show is amazing, except for like the last 2 seasons. That's Michael Crichton. This next one has worked on, it looks like, a lot of the same things. Presents, Black Bag, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, The Mummy, the Indiana Jones video games, Zathura, War of the Worlds, Spider-Man, I don't know.
The Tobey Maguire one?
Mission Impossible.
Okay. Because I love me some
Very interesting.
Spider-Man 1. I love the
I
original
hear these.
Spider-Man.
They've worked on some stuff before, but I have to wonder why this one feels. I mean, to be fair, the Jurassic. No Jurassic.
Well,
Did I
and,
see
like,
any Jurassic World on there? I saw all the Jurassic Parks. Jurassic
True.
World. Yeah,
Is that
and the
what it said?
Jurassic Worlds.
Oh,
So I don't know.
I don't know.
I fear
man.
they come in with one pitch
And then the studios are like,
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, I wonder if it's studio interference, because even though the last one did well, I know there were criticisms of the story. So I'm like, maybe the studios thought they knew how to fix that, and they just didn't, because they almost never do, because they're not writers. But anyways,
I don't know. I'm very.
what?
I'm very
Who
curious
said
what
that?
the writers' room on it here was, but.
I don't know.
And then I also put the visuals. I think if there's
Yeah.
anything to be taken away from Gareth Edwards' portfolio, is that
Yeah.
the man knows how to use CGI pretty dang well.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
will say I feel like I can't think of specific. No, I can remember one specific moment where I was like, I don't like the CGI here
Okay.
in this movie. But I've
Okay.
never felt that in Rogue One or The Creator. I thought
Okay.
the visuals in those movies,
Yeah.
like, stunning and some of the best kind of almost ever.
Yeah.
Or at least in the use of, like, CGI effects.
Mm-hmm.
But when there's a scene whenever Jonathan Bailey is right on the leg of one of the dinosaurs,
Okay.
and kind of the way he like interacts with the leg, like I think he definitely like leans and like puts his hand on it. I almost want to say he almost like hugs it,
Okay.
but I might be misremembering that.
I don't know.
But I
don't
remember seeing that and I was like,
anything.
I feel like I see the leg moving,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see Jonathan Bailey moving.
Okay.
And it's just like there's a disconnect here, and they're holding the shot too long for me to not notice that.
Okay.
But and especially because, you know, this is also a franchise that's done some amazing stuff with practical effects.
Yeah.
I fear that has maybe been a little lost. Hey.
Hey. I agree.
But overall, I really like how they shoot their dinosaurs. I think there are a handful of moments of wonder. And I think they do some really interesting stuff to set the scale of these creatures.
Yeah.
Like pretty early on in the scenes when they arrive, which look really cool.
Yeah.
I think maybe from there they don't do anything super visually interesting besides like the, oh, look at this creature. I would say there's like one dinosaur that looks like that maintains to be very beautiful and really cool to look at. It's that long one from the trailers. It's like the long neck one. I almost want to say the Bronchiosaur.
I don't know.
But this one has like a long tail and like gill down, like giraffe hair down the back. But they're really cool the way like their tails keep moving, and then there's these two that are kind of like rubbing up on each other, and it looks very beautiful. I would say that's like the most visually interesting dinosaur for like the entirety of the time it's on screen.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he's my second cousin or what he is. He's like distantly related to me.
Okay.
But he's like 4.
Sure.
To set the scene. He could tell you what the dinosaurs are.
As most
could tell
4-year-old
you.
boys can.
I'm like, he's so well spoken for his age. It's crazy, and he's been well spoken for years. It's wild. He talks like a old man as a 4-year-old, and it's so funny.
It's like from Mitchell and the Machines. Hi, do you want to talk to me about dinosaurs? Okay. Going down the phone book.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how he is. So
That's very funny.
But
if I see him this Thanksgiving, I'm gonna ask him about the movie.
Yeah.
So.
I also think they do some interesting.
I don't even know if callbacks is necessarily the right word, but like references to the original.
Yeah, that's kind of maybe why I got confused that they weren't going back to the original island, because I felt like so many of the shots of the destruction that was left, like the lab, I was like, I feel like that's supposed to be like that's the lab from the original, and it's not.
It is not.
But I do feel like it just still feels very nostalgic. You feel that time difference, which is interesting still.
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked, like, there's the shot of the dinosaur, like,
Yeah.
those long neck bronchiosaur-ish creatures. I think they're also
Yeah.
supposed to be, like, an amalgam of something else. I actually feel like that's one of those fake dinosaurs that they make in the movie, but I don't know.
I think most of them are in this movie.
Sure. But that one feels very reminiscent of the shot, like, where they first see the dinosaurs for the first time.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, like, they have the red flare that they play with, which is very reminiscent
Yeah.
of that T-Rex scene.
Yeah.
They have a T-Rex here, which is very reminiscent of the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Shocker there.
Yeah.
And then they don't have raptors here, but they have a creature that
Just
kind of fills
so-
the same purpose.
Yeah.
And they do some interesting stuff that I think is comparable to, like, the raptors in the kitchen scene from the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will say I really like that part of this movie as well.
It sucks though, because Jonathan Bailey definitely said they're raptors in the trailer, and so I was wanting, like, because somebody was like, "Please don't tell me they're raptors," and he's like, "They're raptors."
I don't even know what he's talking about.
No?
There definitely was no raptors.
No,
Like,
that's why I was disappointed. I was waiting for them to show up,
I
and then somebody asked that, "Are there any raptors?" or "Don't tell me there are raptors," but then he didn't say it. Because I don't think it was the same scene as we see in the trailer. So it's like, was that just editing to get people here to watch? I don't know. I'm going to have to look closer
That's a great
at
point.
that trailer, actually.
But I thought those
Shots, because it was like almost the visuals and the aesthetics that they were going for were very reminiscent,
Yeah.
which I think works a lot for me instead of just being like, oh, remember this dinosaur?
Yeah.
It feels like
More
you have to
subtle.
put in more work to make what they were going for work,
Yeah.
and for me it does. So
I agree.
they achieve that.
then I said
They have some interesting designs. This movie definitely goes for some hybrid dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I will say I don't think anything here works as much for me as like the Indominus Rex,
which is the hybrid.
antagonist dinosaur in the first Jurassic World movie.
Yeah.
I think that is the hybrid dinosaur that works most because it's like the one causing all the problems.
And I love the original Jurassic World. I don't understand the people that don't like that movie. Because you can't tell me when Claire is, like, describing that dinosaur that you don't get chills. Like, ugh. It's like, you know, it's not real. It's on the screen. It's fake. It's a movie. But you're just like, I'm scared right now. Like, chills. Claire was
She was selling it.
great in that movie. Love it. Anyways. Yeah, I don't feel like we really got that all that much.
But I do like the designs for a lot of these creatures. Like the swimmy one, I thought was like the scale of it looked really cool, and then when it was like swimming was really fun.
Yeah.
The fins in the water, the tails, and the design on that one. The like weird raptor pterodactyl things. I think that might be a scene where they cut it because I think they even had like the raptor toe ish. I feel like I remember that whenever like they're under the car in a section.
Oh, okay.
Like I feel like you see it walking around a little bit, and I'm like, oh, but it's so weird because also like they don't really point out or like make a talking point of like, oh, this is half this, half this. Did it have a name? It's like, so it feels like it feels weird considering they're like, oh, this is the experimental park. And it's like, okay, cool. Does anyone want to walk us through what the hell we're looking at?
Yeah, I agree, because I think they say some of the names of the dinosaurs, but it doesn't stick with you like some of the others do. So, that is a shame. Especially when they're like a hybrid of stuff. Like, you kind of need to know the name, because they're not going to look like an actual classic dinosaur that used to exist. So...
Absolutely. Yeah. And then I do like the D-Rex. I think he's a very fun design.
Yeah.
Almost wish they used him more.
Crazy. Crazy how you have a big bad and he's barely in the movie. Anyways.
Yeah.
Next I said
T-Rex scene. Oh my gosh. I would say that's my favorite part of the movie.
Is it the one where, like, towards the end or towards the beginning? I think we're thinking of two different ones.
One. There's the one with the raft.
Oh, I'm thinking of the one with the alien hybrid
D-Rex
thing, and then there is a different one towards the or like for the rest of the movie. Yeah.
I'm talking about Mr. T-Rex, and apparently that is a scene.
The first one to be used more. He looked so cool. He looked like an alien. But
he's very alien-y.
Yeah. Anyways.
I think some people have an issue with the fact that it almost doesn't look like a dinosaur. Which I don't know.
I mean,
if you're here to watch
you're
here to watch a dinosaur movie.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know. I just thought it looked very like, ooh, now we're in new territory. Like this is, I don't know what to expect from this dinosaur because it's definitely not your classic dinosaur.
Sure.
It's like, can it do what the aliens do in the aliens movies? Like, new territory.
Yeah, but I really love that design, that whole scene of them, like, and it's the river and the T-Rex. I think the lead into that scene is really great.
Yeah.
There's almost, like, the tropey bad decision being made leading into it.
Yeah.
Which is very, oh my gosh. But it's super fun. And apparently, I think I've told you this already, but that is a scene taken out of the original Jurassic Park book that the movie was based on.
Yeah.
And what a missed opportunity, because that scene was awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Very glad they included it here.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And then Camp Cameron. What
Cameron.
is? I feel like we keep talking about him. David. Is it Lacono or?
Couldn't tell you. His name to me is Cam Cameron.
Yes, but he
plays Xavier in this movie. He's the boyfriend that's here for the family trip.
Yeah.
And he is so funny. Oh
He's
my
like,
gosh. I didn't know he was going to be in this movie. To be fair, if I knew he was going to be in this movie, that would have been like the same level, like peak in my interest as Gareth Edwards directing.
Yeah, that's so fair.
He's having such a moment right now, and I love to see it. This is definitely the most high profile role that he's gotten yet. So
Good
I super love that for him.
Okay. My cat is all over me right now. Hey. Anyways.
But super fun.
So I love what his addition here. He adds a comedy that I think no one else even comes close to replacing.
I
like
agree.
if anyone else from that family was not there, I feel like you can take out almost anyone else from that family except him to make it worthwhile that he's here.
I agree.
Because he's like the most consistently interesting character in this movie, I would almost say.
I agree. He just adds such like fun, and he's because he is introduced where even before you meet him, you know 2 of the family members don't like him, or at the very least are annoyed by him, and then you meet him and he is like,
And he's even
off
worse.
the bat, like worse. But he's really funny about it. He doesn't ever cross that line into just straight up unlikable.
No,
because of the
it is
family.
so talented.
Yeah.
To like be such a dick and still be so fun to watch.
Yeah.
And it's, oh my gosh, that is
That's
such a fine line.
line. Mm-hmm.
Jinx.
Fine line, Jinx.
But no, I don't even come close to hating him.
No.
Maybe it's because I know him as Cam Cameron, but
Well, that's true. That's one thing. And then I do think pretty early on you realize like he's a jerk, but like he's not incapable. Like he's not stupid when he needs to not be stupid. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's from laziness and like immaturity. It's not from like just you're dumb. Like when he needs to lock in, he locks in. So, and he does so in a way that makes you really like him, and that's all I'm gonna say without spoiling it.
Indeed.
There you go, and he does that a few times in this movie.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And then I put ScarJo.
Yeah.
I think of the main 3 characters, I think she does the most here.
Yeah.
I think she plays a very interesting and I think almost a modern and grounded look at what a female mercenary would look like.
Mm-hmm. But it's also cool because someone did point out, like, hey, this is a female leading a blockbuster and it working and nobody even talking about it or complaining about it. Like, that's gotta give them props to that. Because, I mean, there's plenty of times where it shouldn't have happened, but it did. And so, for whatever reason, it's not happening here, and I'm glad. So,
Fair.
we needed this. We need to see women can lead when
Maybe
you back them. And
That's maybe an interesting question. Why do you
Support
think
them.
that's not happening here? I have my guess.
I mean, I do think you have to. There's a fine line in which you write them, because I do feel like she wasn't an unlikable character. She was established well in why she's good at her job and capable. Because I'm thinking specifically because of our Star Wars talk, I'm thinking of the sequels.
Sure.
And, you know, that might be a tough example because I do think Star Wars fans are just inherently super toxic, just all around, like female, male, like
Always have been.
yeah, always have been about anything and everything. It's like anytime anything happens in Star Wars, you have like a part of them hating it for whatever reason. So maybe that's a bad example, and you know those movies still grossed a lot of money. So at the end of the day, they were successful, and she's still, as far as we know, getting her own movie someday. But I know people like said she was in Mary Sue and like could have been written better, and how she was able to defeat Kylo Ren, who was supposed to be like really good at fighting, and then like she didn't die every time they fought. So I do think part of that's the writing, and I'm not saying the writing's great here, but I do think I don't see an opportunity for toxic people to come in and hate on it. I feel like it's well-rounded, and it's like, this is why she's good at her job. And she's not like, step aside, boys, or whatever. You know, like, yeah, it's not an excuse to like be rude to female leads, but you learn the patterns of when it happens, and I don't think they do that here, which is good.
Sure.
So.
I agree. I think you raise a good point if she doesn't like necessarily step on anyone's toes.
Yeah.
And I think it's very interesting to see, like, there's a scene early on where someone's like, "Oh, I can do that instead," and she's like, "Oh, so you can do this even though you're going to be sweating, you're going to be moving at this mile per hour, it's going to be moving at this mile per hour, and you've never done this before. Go for it, champ." And they're like, "Okay, maybe you should do." I think that's I do think there is something interesting to look at.
Yeah.
However, I think, you know, on the tail end of that conversation, I think you should also be able to have female characters that are well written and be able to step on people's toes.
Yeah.
Because that's what
Absolutely.
characters and people do sometimes.
And
So
plenty of male characters get that treatment. Like, there's so many movies with a toxic male lead, but people don't go hate on them. They love the movie, and they love the actor. So I don't know. I definitely want to like emphasize it's not an excuse. It's just a pattern I notice. So
a reason I would maybe say it doesn't get that much of a treatment is because I don't think we get to super dive into her character at all.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's
another
very
thing,
surface
for sure.
level, which is why it doesn't get to the point where it's like, oh, she talks about her feelings too much, or stuff like that almost.
Yeah.
I think it also does. I think it also sways away from those conversations because she has a. Does she or does she not like this other main character? Which I think is another very basic thing to distract from, having your own character. I think she still does have a decent amount of character.
Yeah.
It's almost like she, as like almost like the main character, has like the amount of like character arc as like a side character would have in a typical movie. Which is interesting.
I agree. Well, and it helps that she's like already a well-established and well-liked actress. Like, because now I'm thinking of like the Hunger Games and Jennifer Lawrence. She very much led that. And also Grace Randolph has pointed this out before, where movies like this where they do have a female lead but very much have other males right next to her in the same conversation, that helps avoid hate as well. Again, not saying it should be like that, just saying it kind of, that's the pattern that
but
you
then
notice.
Also in that same vein, you had two male co-stars right next to Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But then again, Star Wars is Star Wars.
Star Wars is like its own crazy breed. Hunger Games has two male leads with the love triangle. Twilight, same thing. I'm thinking of franchises that are led by a female character, but there's, so far I'm coming up with examples with two male leads right next to her. So, and that's the same thing here. I'm trying to think. Can you think of any other franchises?
Let me look at my little list I've made.
Star Wars is kind of its own thing. Or even, like, Marvel movies. Because, like, I don't know.
Let me see. There's... X-Men is more ensemble, but some strong female characters there. The first Wonder Woman did really well, but had a lot of male characters where in an environment where she didn't know as much.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Harry Potter has Hermione. Definitely not Mission Impossible.
Two male leads.
Some of the Fast and Furious, I would say, with Letty.
But you have very much Vin Diesel as the front seat there.
Yeah, there's not a ton.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something to think about. I'm not going to sit here and be like,
ooh, there's Alien
this
with
is
Ridley.
good. Oh, yeah. That's so true. I don't know, man. But then, I don't know. Sometimes it just works, but it's like they're not allowed, like female characters are not allowed to step on anybody's toes. And it helps if you have, to avoid hate, it helps to have male co-leads with her. So, yeah, just something to point out. Patterns.
Indeed,
whatever.
patterns. I noticed I put Mahershala on here.
Because he also has a fun energy.
You could
I think
say Wicked. Sorry, I just thought about that. But I feel like Wicked's also its own thing.
Sure.
It's like a musical. So it's a little different. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I put
thinking of
Mahershala.
him.
I think he bounces off of characters really well here.
Yeah. He's just such a talented actor.
So overall, I think his interactions are very fun.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's some depth there.
With
I feel
his
like
son,
I can't articulate it very, very well.
they like try. They start chipping into it. They try to do a thing later with another kid.
No,
and
I
like,
can see it. I can
cheesy.
see it there a little bit. We'll
I
maybe get
still
into
want
depth.
more.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I can see it. It's the start.
I noticed I didn't put Jonathan Bailey here. I don't, and I like Jonathan Bailey a lot.
And he's very charming.
Sure.
Like, and he's very like cute.
He's
In
very
this movie
cute.
with the glasses, and he's like a nerd.
His
And
aesthetic is cute.
he's like the one that's like, y'all are crazy. You always gotta have the scientist that it's like, I just want to love dinosaurs. Y'all are crazy. So, and he's a very human aspect of this movie that makes people question their actions, which is good. So, I don't know.
Yeah, he serves his purpose, for
Yeah.
sure.
He's not given he's given the least out of the three, I would say,
For sure.
in character depth. So,
And then I said they had some great scary scenes.
yeah.
The way they hide the D-Rex, I think, is really cool. The way that they have those, like, raptor pterodactyls go after everyone. I think they do some fun stuff there. And in the water chase scene, I think they do some really thrilling stuff.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it's really funny, though, what their plan is to get, like, the DNA. I want to talk about it when in the
We'll get
spoiler
into spoiler
section.
talk.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know. The logic there is really funny. It works out. It's very convenient for them. It works out really well for them.
Sure.
So,
And then Dolores,
The little dinosaur.
Dolores.
The little yellow one that they've been being like, protect Dolores at all costs. And people are
We're
like,
like,
who
who's
is this?"
Dolores? Yeah. I mean, I'm not like as much of a hater of that as other people, because other people are like, this is so stupid. You can't do this. Like, nobody's going to care about your character. Like, it only works when it's natural. And I see where they're coming from. Like, it's way better when it's natural. I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, this movie's dumb because of that.
Well, but it's
But
like,
It's
I
like-
think it's almost embarrassing coming from Warner Brothers, because look at how iconic the this Barbie does blank, and how that was all over the internet for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, let it
Um,
be natural.
And that's the thing. It's natural. That was a planned thing. It's
Yeah,
almost always
yeah.
a planned ass thing.
Hmm.
And you know what? I really like Dolores here.
Yeah.
It could have been a pretty natural thing.
Yeah, the planned part could have just been having Dolores in the movie, and then people, they're gonna like hit and run with that, like, to just let it happen.
I think there's an element of, oh, this account that doesn't have a lot of followers randomly is like,
Yeah.
man, guys, who's checked on Dolores recently? I'm stressed for like doing those like
So weird.
like almost planted meme pages.
Yeah, it's like those TikToks where you're like, this has to be an ad, right? And then you look and it is. That's the energy it's giving.
Yeah.
You're like, there's no way this is like natural.
But it's like, if you already do that stuff anyways and are probably trying to do that in other ways,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe try a little less hard.
Yeah.
Up front.
Yeah, I agree.
Very interesting.
Anyways.
But those are my pros. Any more to add on to?
I did put Jonathan Bailey as a standout
Put him
for
as the
me.
standout.
But I will say, I think that's just because I adore Jonathan Bailey.
That's so valid.
Because I can sit here and say, like, he had the least development as a character. I just love him so much. He's such a star, and I want him to continue being casted in things and being a star. Because I think he deserves it. And I know a lot of people are like, I want more success for the people from Bridgerton. I think that's so valid. But I'm just so happy that it's happening to him, because I do think he's one of the best actors in that show. I wish his two co-leads in his season were getting more work, especially with Simone Ashley being completely cut from the F1 movie recently. That sucks, because she's awesome in that season. His season's the best because the three main characters, him and the two sisters that's in the love triangle, they're awesome and they deserve work. And I'm glad he's getting work, but I want them to get work too.
Fair.
But anyways, and then I just wanted to point out the critics saying that there's no wonder in this movie. They didn't watch this movie clearly, or they went to the bathroom, because like you said, they have a scene that's practically cut out from the original of them seeing the long-necked dinosaurs, because I don't know what they're actually called, because I think they're like a mixed breed. But they have that moment, and then they have like the scientists like crying because they're next to the dinosaur and they can't believe it, that they're seeing it with their own two eyes. And I mean, everybody, that's such a wonder scene. Like, I was just sitting there like, they're crazy. They didn't watch this movie, or they were on their phone, knowing people nowadays. So just know there is wonder in this movie.
Sure.
I don't know if it captures
think I can
it.
see how it gets muted, though.
I mean,
and I
that's
think
like
there's
one
a
of the
very
only
valid-
scenes. I think.
I think there's a very valid criticism to why it feels muted throughout the movie, and why I can understand leaving the movie being like, I can see why they'd forget what Little Wonder is in there.
Yeah, well, and it is hard because, you know, in Jurassic Park, nobody had seen dinosaurs really until they see dinosaurs. And then it kind of, you know, nobody's like a huge fan of 2 and 3. And then Jurassic World comes around and they're doing another theme park, but it's bigger and better. So you could still have that wonder because it's like, well, now the general public is getting to see dinosaurs for the first time and you get to have that element. Now it's like, where do you go from there to still capture the wonder?
Oh, even moreover, then they're released into the wild and they're just in the world.
Everyday animals, essentially. Basically. Yeah,
To a
so
point.
it's like, where do you go from there to still capture the wonder in a believable way? Because, I mean, Jonathan Bailey, they tried, but, like, he's seen dinosaurs before. He may not have been that up and close with them, which is why it was such a interesting experience for him. But everybody's seen dinosaurs before at that point. So it's like, I don't know. Where do you go from there? Maybe they went a little too big, too fast. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution would be there.
Yeah. Any other last minute pros?
No, I think we covered all the rest of it.
Cool. So into cons, I'm gonna say
They make too much of a point to say that, man, dinosaurs, they are old news. No one cares about dinosaurs. They're annoying. They're slow. They're slowly dying out, and honestly, good riddance.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god.
No, they really do. And that's the other thing with the wonder. It's like, if anything, you're killing the wonder. Like, there's scenes in this movie, but yeah, I can understand why there's criticism about it. I don't think the right way to say it is there is no wonder. I think they go about it in the wrong way. And they're shooting themselves in the foot with how they're talking about it. It's like, okay, so next movie, where do we go from here?
Because you've already acknowledged that no one's interested in dinosaurs anymore. Even though they're literally here.
Yeah.
And they're like in downtown is like, oh, did you see that Stegosaurus downtown? And it's like, ugh, I know. I see it every time I come into work. And it's like, I don't care how often you see that dinosaur on your way to work.
No.
You're never going to be like, ugh, that dinosaur.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. That's insane.
I still get excited when I see a squirrel outside. Like, I'm like, oh, it's running up a tree.
No, that's such a great point. Humans are so drawn to animals. And especially, like, the bigger it is, the more,
Talk about when you see a dog in public. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, hi.
like, imagine passing the Stegosaurus on your way to work, and it's like, oh, I've named him...
Ugh, that
Greg.
guy.
I've named him Greg.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
Like, people... And especially in this day and age, there would be so many TikTok pages about dinosaurs.
Right. I'm like, if anything, that should make people more interested in dinosaurs.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe that's the thing. It feels almost like they don't understand the modern times.
No, and it's almost like, are you like thinking that your audience is gonna be tired of dinosaurs? Because we're not, and there's nothing that has shown you that.
Yeah, the last 3 big movies about dinosaurs made $1 billion, even if they weren't that great.
Dinosaurs are like, kids love dinosaurs. So, well, people of all ages, but like, that's what I'm saying.
Kids
it's like,
will always like
a
dinosaurs.
multi-generational thing.
And honestly, there's always going to be those adults that
Yeah.
love dinosaurs.
Yeah.
The people who
Absolutely.
watched Jurassic World as a kid and fell in love with movies, they're still here.
Yeah. So I don't... And that screams like studio interference for me. Because that just
Almost.
screams like you just don't understand people kind of thing. You're
I
so
don't
out of
know.
touch. That
It
it's
definitely gives out of touch. I
Yeah.
will say, those Jurassic World writers have been writing Jurassic World movies for a while. And Jurassic Park movies. So maybe there's an element of like...
Maybe they're tired for some
I
reason.
don't know. It gives like someone who's been like, they don't like dinosaurs like they used to. And it's like, no. I mean, people don't like stop and have conversations about dinosaurs. But like people still have interest in giant dragon-esque creatures.
Yeah. It's giving like they think they're in like the superhero fatigue thing, but it's not.
Dinosaur fatigue.
I know,
Is
it's
dinosaur
like-
fatigue real? Let's start that conversation.
I'm like, okay, but you're not. I don't know. It feels like they don't understand. Like maybe studios think there's just a general fatigue, and maybe there is, but I don't think you can say that enough to be like they're sick of dinosaurs. Like that's a huge stretch. So I'm just like, where was the disconnect here? And who caused this disconnect? What happened here? I don't know, man.
It's a choice. That being said, there's also not nearly enough dinosaurs in this movie.
No.
Like in the movie, they like get interrupted by a dinosaur every now and then, and it's like we need more of that.
It's weird because it's like every time I think about this movie, I don't know how to feel, because it's like I didn't hate it and I didn't love it, but it's like I'm somewhere in the middle and I really couldn't tell you.
For me, I'm like so close to it being a movie that I just like offhand recommend to everyone.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, I would recommend this to you if you really, or like just like the Jurassic World movies. Like this is not a good jumping on point for anyone.
No.
Like we have our friend Katie.
Yeah, I'm really glad she did not see
We have our
this
friend
because-
Katie who's not seen any of them before, and
Yeah.
she was supposed to see it with us.
Mhm.
And frankly, I'm glad she didn't. It's not a great introduction to this franchise.
No.
And honestly, maybe dinosaur movies in general.
Yeah. So I'm glad she's going to be able to start with the first one. But that's just crazy to me. I was going to say earlier, you know, if they want to shift, if they're going away from the wonder because they want to shift full on into horror and have like dinosaurs be like a Godzilla kind of thing, but like everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that is a direction to take. But
And
that
honestly,
makes
did
me
you ever see
sad. I don't
Kong?
know. I saw the first one.
Like the one with Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston?
Yes. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Me too.
Make that in Jurassic Park, and that's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And that's like almost what they were trying to do here,
Mhm.
but they were almost leaning more into the like horror element towards like the third half instead of the like journey to the center of the earth.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because, I mean, yeah, the original park, you have that build up into character and then why they're going to the park. And then they see the dinosaurs for the first time. And you have a huge build up of all the wonder. And then crazy things start happening. And it's like horror and survival from then on. But it just didn't work the same in this movie because I think they didn't push enough about the wonder.
I fear
There wasn't enough balance.
I fear the Kong comparison is actually almost perfect. Like
Yeah.
this movie wanted to be what Kong is, and it is not Kong.
It's not. No, I agree. I love the first Kong movie.
What other
Anyways.
cons did I have? People stop caring about dinosaurs. I also think it loses a bit of the franchise personality because we see no park. There's no park. There's no world comparison.
That's
There's
the
nothing
other
even
thing.
tying it to the fact that there were amusement parks or plans for amusement parks, and I think those had their own little aesthetic, which was very enjoyable for people. It's like, oh, imagine what being there would be like. You know, it would be horrible eventually because they all get out. But this is something that would be like a great pitch that people would want to go to.
Yeah.
And then it goes to here, and it's like, have you ever camped in the woods where everything out there wanted to kill you? Except Dolores.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's like I need the story to go in some direction where, for whatever reason, people, like maybe because they're endangered, there's like a group of people trying to get people to fall in love with dinosaurs again.
You know
don't
what
know.
almost I think would work better? If this was just the family plotline and they were just stranded on this island and they just happened to not know anything about dinosaurs. I almost think that movie is what Kong is essentially, where it's like you're on this island, it's like you have to realize that you're on Dinosaur Island,
Yeah.
and then you have to survive and find a way off of Dinosaur Island. That's how you do a horror movie with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You don't
True.
have a dinosaur expert.
I don't know. I don't know where you go from here. I think they shot themselves in the foot in many different circumstances, so it's unfortunate. They put themselves into a hole, and I don't know how to get them out. So,
Indeed.
I don't know, man.
But
it's almost maybe like Megan too in that way, where it's like they try and like change or adjust the genre that they're in, but then, that's not the genre that people have paid billions of dollars to see before. So
Yeah. And granted, this movie is still doing really well financially,
Yes.
but I don't know.
we'll see if it does as good though, because
Yeah.
there's a standard. There
Yeah.
is a huge standard.
Yeah.
It needs. I don't even think. Obviously, I think it wants to cross $1 billion, and I think the people who are critical of movies are gonna be like, if it doesn't cross $1 billion, it is going to be a worse movie overall. I think if it gets to the nines, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think
so.
that's the level where if you don't get to the nines, it's noticeably embarrassing.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it needs to make $1 billion. Like, if it gets to the
No.
nines, it's going to be profitable, which honestly is all
Like,
movies
way
need to be doing
profitable.
nowadays to
Yeah.
be deemed successful.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
but
The budget's not all that bad, especially nowadays for blockbusters, pretty standard.
Sure.
So it doesn't need all that much to be profitable, but just in the standards of what the other movies have made, I do think it needs to get to the nines just to not be embarrassing. So I don't know, but then we got some big heavy hitters coming out too this month. So
and then
I will say, I agree the pacing is slow. It's slow, I think, specifically when it's on those three main characters. When it's with the family, I like the pace because at least I like the dynamics of everything that's happening there.
yeah.
And there's actual character work to be done.
Yep.
but
Anytime they're, like, telling about their plans or whatever, it's like, unless someone's, I don't know. It's almost like, even when it's just, like, two characters, it, like, completely slows down, and it's like, okay, guys, let's get back with the gang and have some more quicker conversation. I don't know.
I also said I did not like our businessman here.
He is just a scooch too mustache twirly.
I don't know, man. Is it the
For
guy
me.
who
With the briefcase. With the
briefcase?
suitcase.
I have briefcase?
I have case.
I have purse. I have purse. Anyways.
I don't know. He
was
like,
okay.
He like went between fine and too far.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a thing very early on in like the first act that happens, and it's like that's too far.
I think I might know what you're talking about.
And it's like, I understand the idea that he's going to screw these people over for money,
yeah.
but then he makes decisions that are too mustache twirly and irrelevant to what he's trying to do. To be like, no.
You're just dumb.
It's like, you're just an evil person, and beyond the idea that you're trying to screw over people for the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
It's like, there's that level where it's like realistic evil, and then there's like, oh, I'm gonna shoot your dog when you're not looking, and I'm gonna blame it on a dinosaur. And it gets too close to that,
yeah.
where it's like,
They
is
don't
this
have a dog, but
Is this how a person
yes.
reacts?
That's what I thought you were gonna say. I think I know what you're talking about.
and he gets there
Simply too often for him. I'll even say you can maybe throw in one of those moments if it's set up really well.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of those moments where you get close to that are set up well.
I think I don't know. Okay, there's a part towards the end where he drives away with a car and exposes somebody else that was under the car. I feel like that
works.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
worked.
I
for
think
me.
that works very well.
But like, because I feel like that was led up to,
Yes.
and it just felt so Jurassic Park for me. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I agree. The shooting thing, which I think we're thinking of the same thing, didn't work for me. I agree with that.
and then
There's an actor that I didn't know was in this movie, and literally as soon as I saw him, I was like, I think I just realized I don't think I like this actor.
I really want to know why.
I don't know. It's like he plays
it's Ed Skrein,
and I will say I don't know anything about this person outside of his acting. I'm sure he's a great person.
Oh, he's in Game of Thrones. He's in All the Light We Cannot See.
Game of Thrones. I almost want to say I think he was like on like the Iron Isles.
I don't even know.
And I think he was really
He's in
annoying there as
Deadpool.
well. Yes, he's Kilgrave. Or not Kilgrave. That's Jessica Jones. He's he's the main antagonist in the first one.
I don't know.
He's the one who can't feel pain. He's
Oh.
Francis. He's with that guy.
Yes.
And man,
yeah.
he's an Alita Battle Angel, and he plays the same character in everything. Unfortunately, he peaked with Deadpool, and it's just like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, I hate that I feel this way about him.
I don't know what your beef is, but I think it's really funny.
I don't know, and I don't like having beef. Like, there's so
it's okay.
few
I have
actors.
beef with random actors as well. It's
But
fine.
the thing is, I feel like I just find him so annoying because he plays the same annoying character in every movie.
That's valid.
And it's like, characters who can't get over themselves, who think they're the shit, and then have to have their ass handed to them immediately. And that's like the character type he plays in every movie.
Yeah.
And it's like
me with The Rock. I'm like, there's.
I don't know, but there's a good amount of people who are with you on with The Rock.
Yeah, I mean there is a few movies The Rock is in that I like, but
yeah, like The Tooth Fairy, The Game Plan.
those are the two that I was, and Jumanji works for me just because technically he's not like he's playing somebody or in his body or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's fun. He voices Maui, so I don't have to see his face. Not looking forward to that.
I
in
think
the
his
live
voice
action
work as
Moana.
Maui is very
yeah. Maybe The Journey to the Center of the Earth.
I haven't seen that in forever.
I haven't either, but I don't remember hating him in that movie. But I was also a kid when I watched that movie,
Sure.
so I don't know if I really cared all that much. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just a weird actor thing for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel very similar to, like, Channing Tatum, except there are a couple of times I've
valid.
enjoyed his work.
Yeah, he also has some of those.
He has some high
standouts.
moments for me, but Ed
Yeah.
Skrein doesn't. It's, like, the same stuff. I like, you know what?
Yeah.
His high point is Deadpool. And, unfortunately,
That's not a huge high.
it's not a huge high at all. Anyways,
I think
moving
it's
on.
funny.
Moving on. I hope Ed Skrein has a lovely life.
Nothing
Personal.
yeah.
I know nothing about him,
No.
but I fear I would love to see him play. If I have to see him again, I hope it's not the same character I've seen 20 times over from him.
So
Which
true.
not maybe even
Is it like
necessarily.
Jason Statham?
Yes, it's very Jason Statham. Except, some of his earlier work I enjoy, and in any case, I can understand why someone would be willing to see Jason Statham
Sometimes it
do
works.
the same thing over and over again.
Well, because
And he's not the main character. And I fear
Mm-hmm.
he maybe just has a bad manager who thinks he can only do one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he can. I've yet to see him try otherwise.
I don't know.
But anyways, he plays such a small role in here, and we've talked way too much. We've talked more about him than he's in this movie, so we're moving
So true.
on.
Yeah, very true.
There's also specifically one point where I'm like, this character should not be alive, and the fact that he is alive is not explained enough. Specifically,
I think I know who
close
you're
to
talking
the
about.
end.
Yes, I agree. And when we thought this person died, I feel like it was such a good and respectful send off for the character. Like they led up to it well, and they were trying to, end his little
agree.
arc
I
there.
felt sad, but then also like, I see I see how we built to this.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he survived doesn't matter to me. Like I was happy he was alive.
Yeah. But
But
they never even ask him.
But
like,
how did you get out of that?
yeah,
By the way?
yeah.
What kind of deal with the devil did you have to do?
It was
to,
giving
be
the
alive,
budget
right?
ran out, so we couldn't film
You
it. So we had to
know,
cut something, and we cut
maybe.
the scene. Maybe I don't know. It was definitely lazy, though. That's why I had a problem with that. I was like, well, I'm happy he's alive, but
How did we get here?
how did we get here? And that feels really lazy to not see.
Yeah.
So, and it's not even that long of a movie for you to cut that. So, if you did film it at all,
Yeah.
so and why wouldn't you? I don't know.
And then my last con is ultimately I think Gareth Edwards could have done a bit better.
Yeah,
Like
we've seen him do better.
we've seen him do
For
so
sure.
good.
Mhm.
I hate that this is, I don't know, it feels maybe rushed. I think if he took his time, he could have made something more profound. I think he worked
Yeah.
really well for whatever reason with, clearly not with Rogue One because he ultimately left. But I think with the creator, he did really
Yeah.
great and pretty fast and efficient work there.
Yeah.
Which is why I think they thought they could make a really quick movie here with him.
Mhm.
But ultimately, I think
it just doesn't work.
I don't
And to
know.
be fair, I don't think the character work in the creator is what makes that movie so special for me. I think they do some great character work, but the characters aren't hugely memorable. And I would say, I think that aligns
I
with the
agree.
fact that the character work here is very weak.
Well, I do have to wonder how much of it might be studio interference. I don't know. Because it made me think of something I saw on Twitter the other day where James Cameron was in the process of making Avatar after he made Titanic. Meanwhile, so like you should let him do whatever he wants to do.
Sure.
Quite frankly, that was his moment in his career. He's allowed to do whatever he wants right now. Like John M. Chu just got signed to be the director for a new Warner Brothers movie, Hot Wheels.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. After
Interesting.
the success of Wicked, they hired him for Hot Wheels. Anyways, but the studio was trying to cut out a huge storyline in the Avatar movie. I think basically the oppression part, or like the
The environmentalism, I think.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and he was like, "That's the film right there. Why would I make this film if I have to cut this? Then what's my film?" And he was like, "I just made Titanic. I'm doing this," and they let him. But that does make me wonder if the studios can question so much, like James Cameron of all people, at like what at the time was the peak of his career, and it was a good peak. Like if Avatar didn't do well, that was still a good peak. Obviously it did, but anyways, it's like, then how much are studios ruining movies? It really just makes you wonder. So
We haven't watched the studio yet, so we
I
don't know the
I
answers.
was thinking about that today several times, but I've thought about it specifically a lot while we were talking in this podcast. I'm like, we really need to watch the show because we're talking about studio interference a lot. So,
Yeah.
good morning.
So,
He just woke
are
up
there
from
any
his nap.
cons you have?
Go back to
That I
sleep.
haven't said already?
Nope. Mine were it needed more dinosaurs, and they never quite push deeper into what story they're trying to tell in any of the character work.
Yeah.
So, a little bit into the family, but
I agree. It's crazy that
uh,
our issues are that it doesn't go deep enough and there's not enough dinosaurs. 'Cause then
Yeah.
it's like, what did
What's
you
the
fill this
movie?
movie with?
I know,
And
that's
it's
why I'm so
crazy.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's just that they didn't use their time well.
It's definitely that.
Because they definitely, like, fill the movie with stuff.
You can have your
it's
characters
just
talk
not
about nothing for a
substantial.
long time.
Yeah.
Actually, it looks like,
Yeah. So,
without saying anything.
that's it right there. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Talking about nothing. The podcast, not us. We never.
Yep.
Us yappers.
Nothing talk.
I'll beat those allegations.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Yeah, I believe in you.
think we can go into our spoiler talk.
Spoiler.
I think there's a couple of conversations we had there, so y'all are being warned now. We are going to go into the spoilers of Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah.
I would definitely be interested to see your takes on it fresh, so if you're interested in seeing that movie before watching, please hit pause. Go to your local theaterplex and
See it.
and then let us know what you think. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Mahershala Ali didn't die.
Yeah,
Duncan did not die.
he's like Jesus.
We don't know how. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, so fair though.
What, that he's like Jesus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, that's kind of fun. Anyways, yeah, I'm really happy that he didn't die. I was gonna obviously be sad, but I wasn't gonna, I think it was written well why he died, like, because he was sacrificing himself to save the kid after his kid died, and we don't know why, but we get the impression that it was, or that he at least feels guilty for it, because he gets mad at the dad at some point for putting his kids in harm's way and not being more responsible.
Fair.
And she kind of calls him out. She's like, you're getting mad at the wrong person. You're not actually mad at him. So, like, he's mad at himself. So you get the impression like maybe he wasn't at fault, but he like blames himself.
Sure.
So to do that, like, that was a nice sacrifice. But then I'm happy he didn't die, but we don't know how he didn't die. It's not explained, and I don't think anybody asks. So,
Fair.
anyways.
You know what? You just reminded me of another one of my cons.
Uh-oh.
How inconsistently quiet these freaking dinosaurs are.
Yeah.
Like, there's
That's
one where
fair.
they, like, pull up onto, like, the beach after, like, the ship goes up onto the sand.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's that dinosaur that, like, leans back over. It's like, oh, what's going on? Walks into the water. This huge-ass lizard. And then, like, sneaks up behind the person in the water on the shallow end of the water. So it's like, how are you not hearing the constant splashing behind you?
Yeah.
Regardless, girl,
Well,
you just
honestly,
got out of the water and these things have legs.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, there's a dinosaur there, so like, why would you not? And you're a group of people. Why would you not have at least one of you watching the dinosaur? Just to like
well,
make
they didn't
sure.
see this one, but also there were
Wait, which one are you talking about?
the ones like the spiny ones that were like jumping on their boat, and there was like one sleeping on shore when they got there, and it was the girl moving this like giant crate that was way bigger than her.
I have literally no
You might
idea
not
what
be
you're talking
remembering
about.
Ugh.
I'm thinking of like the.
Not the T-Rex.
Well, I guess they probably didn't. They know that the T-Rex was there, but they were trying to like be quiet or something. I don't
They
even
didn't
know.
see it at first until she started getting closer to the thing.
Okay. That's
Another great
kinda
moment.
crazy.
To be fair, it worked there because I think the T-Rex in this franchise is just always perceived as the baddest bitch. But
okay, that's so fair.
It works
So
for me
fair.
there because it's the T-Rex in a Jurassic Park movie.
I have no idea what you're talking about in the other one.
No, it's
So
one of those lizards
confused.
ones. It's like it's chilling in the background as she's like first pulling up to shore and like pulling out the supplies out of the water. And then it like moves
yes.
and it's like, oh,
The
that's
random
alive.
character we
and
don't
then it, like,
talk
goes
about.
into the water
Mhm.
and then it comes back out and
Yeah.
is like, it's gone, and you don't even see. It's also, I understand why they didn't want to make this movie rated R. I fear it also makes it a tad boring because you just have all of your kills happening.
Yeah.
Like just out of shot, or it's like, oh, it's right behind this crate that she was pushing, or
Yeah.
oh, it pulled her into the sewer so you can't see it.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's a boring choice.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand. I would definitely assume that studio interference there.
Sure.
They're
not pushing it at all. That like for a PG-13 rating, like considering a lot of the characters die.
Well, and we've seen PG-13 movies kind of push that limit, and I feel like
this
would
one does
be a
not at
good
all.
one.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's that limit way over there. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
Where is there? It is. It's like, I don't know. It's a little boring as far as like, and that's maybe taking out the horror element a little bit for me as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, the character died, I guess, but it's like I don't feel any like even like a character like falls off a cliff and it's just like, oh, I know what happens to them, and it's it's almost Disney-ish.
Fair enough.
It's like that's what almost all of the deaths are like because you don't see anything.
Maybe it's just like.
And you don't see body parts. It's all very clean, and it's like we never have to see. You see, like in the original one, there's like the arm that like goes over her shoulder, and it's like, oh, it's you, and then it's just a hand. It's like, oh god.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing anywhere near as clever as that.
No, they definitely could have pushed the limit a little bit more, for sure. Oh well.
But anyways, onto a more spoiler talk. Scarlet
Zora has the interesting and most notable arc of being a paid mercenary who's just here for the paycheck.
Yeah.
And then Henry Loomis convinces
Dr.
Henry Loomis convinces her to give it to the people so that it doesn't get privatized, and the people can have access to the medicine to save themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which that's also crazy. That's crazy how people can like understand that
in
concept
movies
and not in real life.
I fear
crazy
there is,
that they can like understand who the bad guy is in the Hunger Games, but not in real life.
It's It's interesting, like, the degree of separation people have between, like, stories and real life without realizing that almost every story is supposed to be reflective of a truth in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, comedies are supposed to be based off of awkward truths.
Yeah.
Like, dramas are supposed to be pull on feelings that you have felt before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you hate things because you've experienced some extent of that in life and you can compare
Yeah.
that to.
Yeah.
You see the things in, like, love stories that you want for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every story is supposed to be reflective of something
You can understand.
that connects to the character. If you
yeah.
don't connect to a project, chances are you don't relate to, like, the subject matter or what that message is trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And respectfully, for a lot of these blockbusters, they are very universal things.
Yeah, and I do think that's hard because, you know, that's what's unfortunate. You know, I know not everyone is into movies, but I understand, like, not everyone is going to be into movies a huge bunch, but I do think part of that discussion, and same with books, is I've heard this discussion about on Book Talk where they're like, I only read I'm a blonde white woman. I only read books where the main character is a blonde white woman because that's the only person I could put myself in their shoes. And that's so frustrating
That is
and
a
limiting.
huge lack of empathy.
Yes.
And borderline, at that rate, it's a problem. If you can't look at anyone and
Absolutely.
be like, you're a person who experiences a lot of the same emotions I do, and especially if you're going to separate that on race, there's a word to be called there.
And they'll say, well, if I do read a book about someone who looks different than me, I'll just, like, imagine it in my head. And I'm like, I wonder how many people think about that with movies. And maybe that's why they're so mad at things like The Little Mermaid, where they're like, oh, well, you're not white, so even though you have red hair, like, you're not Ariel. I'm like, that's crazy to me, and maybe that's why, which is so limiting and sad. I don't know. It's like, I can relate to all kinds of characters, or at least, like, empathize with them.
Sure. I think empathy is the real thing,
So,
because I think it is
yeah.
not a
at the end
hot
of the day,
I think this is a very cold statement to say that,
Yeah.
honestly, the modern world has a huge empathy problem.
Absolutely.
There is
Especially nowadays.
There is such a lack of, I wouldn't even say there's no need, there's not like a call to be empathetic.
Mhm.
It's just people aggressively think that empathy is like weakness now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like
Yeah.
a call to like insult people who like consider other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just insane to me. I can't fathom it.
I don't know, man. I'm really glad I can't understand that perspective, and I don't want to.
Sure.
But I'm really glad I can't, because that just must be such a sad way to live. So, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, it definitely is very sad, and it's very, like, I don't know, you must be so scared to constantly, like, see these things that don't fit your narrative, because a lot of things don't fit your narrative if
Yeah.
you're only perceiving things from one perspective. That's
Yeah.
not what life is.
Nope, definitely not. So, I don't know.
So it's
Something to mention. So,
anyways,
anyways,
moving on.
he's gonna kill me with cuteness over here. I'm gonna
It's Dolores.
explode.
So,
Yeah.
what other spoiler? What was your favorite dinosaur from this movie? I know you like the D-Rex.
Probably the D-Rex. I really I love the raptors, and so I was very disappointed there weren't actual raptors in this movie. So I don't love any dinosaur in this movie. I think Dolores is cute, and I like the D-Rex just because it's different. Obviously, you gotta like the classic T-Rex.
T-Rex is a classic.
I'm not in love.
Sure.
I love the raptors in Jurassic World and Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
I would say my favorite is probably those Bronchiosaurus mixes, the ones with the tails.
And
I will say another con is
uh-huh.
how the hell did these huge ass creatures hide under that grass? That
Yeah.
grass is not tall enough to cover a standing Scarlett Johansson. Those
Yeah.
things are not hiding under that. Unless they, like,
Yeah.
dug themselves pits to lay in.
Yeah, but we didn't see that, so I don't know.
That's insane.
I will say I always like those creatures where when they feel threatened, they like have these things that open up and it's all
Oh,
colorful.
the frilly dinosaur. We
Yes.
saw for a second.
I love them because they're like birds, but instead of like showing off to like mate with another bird, it's like danger. It's almost like cats in a way, but it's very visually like birds, and I think that's cool. Very neat. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, no, fair. I would say in the whole franchise, for me, my favorite dinosaur. I feel like I have to go basic with the T-Rex. Although the
It's so
Indominus
fair.
Rex is
Mhm.
also really cool.
Yeah.
The real dinosaur, I'm gonna go with T-Rex.
Yeah. I think that's a good one.
It's a
I
classic.
like the. What do they call it? The flying one. I forgot what pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl?
That picks up that lady in Jurassic World.
No,
So-
actually, I also really like the Megalodon.
Yes,
Oh, I like
the water
Megalodon
one.
a lot. I think I have to
Uh-huh.
change to him. Because then I also love that last shot of, I think it's Fallen Kingdom, where he's like he's like in the giant wave off the beach and like there's people surfing on it. I fear I love that shot.
Oh, or my favorite one, the long-necked one. What is that, Bronchiosaurus?
The Bronchosaur.
When they in Fallen Kingdom as well, when they leave the island.
Oh,
my
my
god,
God,
everyone
that
was
scene
crying.
sucks.
I'm like tearing up
Oh.
right now. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry if I think about this much longer. But shout out to that one. R.I.P. You were a real one. Or whatever. Sorry, I probably did that wrong. I'm not Jewish. I don't even know.
What?
No, that was the wrong one.
Woo!
That was the wrong religion, guys.
That's
I'm really
crazy.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Okay, we're back. We're back.
I'm so sorry. Anyways,
So,
what was the wrong one?
we briefly talked before this about how we would rank this franchise, and go. I'll go ahead and start, but
Okay.
I think the clear favorite is
Sorry, I'm
the original. You're still dying over there. For me, the way I have it ranked just from the scores of having watched all of them. Make sure there's nothing crazy here.
Anyways,
I fear
my
I stand
answer
by
is like
this.
I can't rank them. Not really. The first one's obviously the best.
Yes.
And then Jurassic World would be next for me.
Same here,
And then I literally couldn't care less.
including Rebirth.
I don't know. I mean, that would be like probably 4 or 5. I don't really want to put it next.
For me, my score goes Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, then it goes Jurassic World Dominion, which I think
so
I
glad
fear
you
is a
like
hot
that
take.
movie.
Did you like that Dominion? Do you like Fallen Kingdom more than Dominion?
Yes.
Because I fear. Ever since I heard someone make fun of that movie and like the main point of it, I fear I can't take it seriously. Because someone was like, okay, so in this one, we're going to make a gun. And the gun has a laser pointer. So that whatever target you're shooting at is going to be chased after by this crazy killer dinosaur.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, cool. So you're saying you have a gun that's pointing at your target and you didn't want to just put bullets in it. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's a really great point. It is really stupid when you spell it out like that.
Yeah. Fair enough. I just like certain parts of the movie.
No, there's some
a
great
lot.
parts of that movie. I just
So-
wish they were more in the forefront.
It's kind of like The Last Jedi for me. It's like I really when like the good moments of that movie come around, it's like, man, I really like this movie. And then there's some parts that like just really drag it down. I don't know. It has a lot of highs and it has a lot of lows. So
I don't know if I'd use the term. Personally, I don't think I'd use the term a lot.
Yeah,
But
that's fair. It has highs and lows.
so my score is it goes Jurassic Park, World, Dominion, Rebirth, 3 Fallen Kingdom, then
2, Return to Jurassic Park.
I just haven't seen 2 or 3 or Fallen Kingdom or Dominion in a while.
I also
So,
the 2 and
I
3
don't
I
know.
also did not like.
And that's surprising because I watched the first one and I knew it was really, like, people loved it.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that I also was aggressively in love with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, imagine what these next ones are like. And then I was like, oh.
Uh-oh. Mm-mm. Yeah. No, they're pretty universally, as far as I'm aware, disliked. So, yeah. For good reason. So,
But
I don't know.
know. I like Dominion because I really like the bringing together of both ensembles, and then they're in the park. Yeah.
I don't know. It takes them a while to get into the park, but they're there.
I'm wondering if he's going to fall asleep standing up.
What a champ.
What a mood. I almost did that the other day.
Is there anything else spoilery we need to talk about with this one?
Oh, twirly mustache moment. Whenever he lets Homegirl fall into the water, that's my moment where it's like, you can. If I were in his shoes, I could come up with like 10 reasons why everyone else on this boat would not let her call for help right now. And you're just like, you think that's your best option? I mean, to be fair, she would. You have no reason to believe she'd survive. But that's too, like, I don't know. That to
think
me
it crosses
too
the line
on the
too much?
nose.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I don't know. I guess it didn't, like, super bug me a whole lot, but I do think that's a fair complaint. I don't know.
No, I agree with your point where, like, when he drives, I like him getting the gun from that random pilot who crashed there.
Yeah.
And then I really loved when he pulls away and leaves Scarlett Johansson out there because she was hiding under the car. I thought that all part does really well. I think he got too mustache twirly way too early.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, cool.
That's so fair. Maybe I just don't.
And her falling out of the like, her not being saved from coming out of the boat also does nothing to either character or any part of the movie. It adds nothing.
Yeah.
Like, she could have just easily, like, slipped and fallen, and then that would just be one less thing they had to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, that was just their, like, moment of, this guy's evil. Which,
But we already knew that. He works in pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, and they were going to find that out eventually, so it's like, it wasn't necessary. So, yeah, I think that's actually totally fair. I guess the scene in itself didn't bug me that much, but in the context of the movie and when it happened, kind of stupid. So, that's fair. Yeah.
Anyways, I did I cut you off? Was there anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so. Not that I can think of. I think that about covers it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, alrighty then. So we just ranked them. What do you think? Okay, I'm looking at all of them.
Uh-huh.
Do you know which Jurassic Park movie made the most?
Is it Dominion?
It is not Dominion.
Okay.
Dominion is 4th.
Oh. Okay. Is it the first Jurassic World movie?
It is the first Jurassic World movie. That one made $1,600,000,000.
Okay.
So.
I fear one of the top 3 is going to be one of the bad movies.
Oh yeah.
Can you confirm?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Because all 3 of the worlds are in here.
Oh, okay. So, all 3 of the worlds. And then, well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like 2 or 3 was probably, even though they shouldn't be up there, I fear one of them is. Like an Iron Man 3 kind of situation.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom was second, and that made $1,300,000,000.
Yeah.
And then Jurassic Park and Dominion both just barely crossed the billion threshold.
So 2 and 3 didn't get in the top 4.
No.
Good. I don't think they should have, but I was kind of wondering, So.
Yeah, and I will say,
crazy. It's
Rebirth
great.
is at least set to easily surpass Jurassic Park 2 and 3.
Yeah. Good.
So
Good. Because I
maybe
think
not
it's a better
maybe not
movie than
necessarily
those.
with inflation, but it's going to do stuff.
It'll be good.
Paper.
Yeah.
But so, ooh, interesting. Which do you think, looking at Rotten Tomatoes, of this franchise, which do you think has the highest? Oh, honestly, it's probably the same for both.
I loosely saw a list Well, I saw a list. I loosely remember the list. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Would you?
The first one is the highest rated.
Indeed it is.
Yeah. Duh. And then...
Which do you think is the lowest rated for critic score?
Oh. Ooh, is it Dominion?
It is Dominion.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't. I don't know. I fear sometimes
I don't
critics are
agree
too
with that.
reminiscent of
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
earlier movies that they watched growing up. But
Yeah, I will say I do not agree with that.
audience score. What do you think the top, high, and low is?
Is it the first Jurassic Park?
High is also, yes, the first
Okay,
Jurassic
good,
Park.
good.
Both have a 91.
Lowest.
Both scores.
Okay, per. Lowest, I don't know. 3?
Yeah, it is Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, let's go.
gosh, you're killing
Okay,
it.
I'm on a roll. Ask me how much you think this is going to make at the end.
Well, I suppose that is next. I will say our opening weekend for Jurassic World Rebirth, it was on a $180 million budget.
Yeah. Wait, I do want to compare cinema scores.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't
I
really
have
care
those as
about
well.
IMDb, quite frankly, but...
So, cinema score,
Sorry.
we have 2 A's, 2 A minuses, a B plus, a B, and a B minus. Which 2 do you think got the A's?
The first Jurassic Park and Jurassic World?
Okay.
I know Jurassic Park is one of them.
Indeed. What about those A minuses? What's your guess?
Fallen Kingdom and Dominion.
That is also correct.
Good. Okay. Good. There's a B plus.
Who do you think has that B plus?
I guess the second one.
It is the second one. Oh my gosh.
I think this movie's gonna make $900 million. We need to go to a casino right now. I'm just kidding. I do not gamble, and I don't condone or I don't encourage gambling. But
And what do you think the B was?
The B and the B minus.
Well, I know the B is Rebirth.
Okay.
Because I'm staring at the B right now. And I guess the B minus would be 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dang.
I think that's kind of crazy to me. I think B is a little low for this movie. I would have given it a B plus.
I think it's B plus material.
Yeah.
I agree.
Which does kind of worry me for what people are going to think. I don't know. I honestly have not heard a whole lot about this movie on social media ever since it actually came out. I'm going to be so real. Other than the fact that it's doing well financially.
Yeah. Do you know where the Rotten Tomato and audience score is?
Yeah, I'm looking at that too. Yep. So this one's at 51 and for critics and 72 for audience.
Yeah. So
I'm more with the 72.
I think the 72
For
is
sure.
Almost right there.
Mhm.
Like I think
agree.
they're
very, very on point with that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then again, the way that
Rotten Tomato works with, it just being the percentage of them that gave it a good rating.
Yeah.
I can honestly see both. I think both are actually very accurate.
Yeah.
'Cause this movie does have some problems, and it just happens, I think, to still be watchable despite them.
Yeah, I agree. Anyways, that's one of the problems with Rotten Tomato is it's either like good or not.
Yeah. And
Not a lot
our
of room for
IMDb
nuance.
score, for those who might care, is centering at a 6.5, which is
Per?
Honestly, the score I gave it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Per.
I fear IMDb found its sweet spot.
Yeah. Anyways.
So where do you think? Looks like our opening weekend. We are looking at an opening of 147. No.
Yeah, domestically. 322 worldwide right now.
Right. And that is a long weekend.
it's a holiday.
That is true. It's a 5-day weekend.
So 147 opening, international of 174. So we're looking at 322.
2 million worldwide for its opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think our endpoint is here?
Realistically, I am trying to decide if it's going to hit that 9. I really want it to just because I'm like, ooh, that's embarrassing if it doesn't. I don't know because it's like it wasn't bad, but it wasn't crazy good. The B cinema score is not great. And then Superman comes out in a couple days. And then a couple weeks after that, Fantastic Four. I don't know. And I know those are superhero movies, but they're also big blockbuster movies that I think a lot of people are going to go to. Mm-hmm. So, but I will say July overall is a less crowded month than June was.
Correct.
I think I want to be hopeful, and I'm still going to say 9.
Alrighty.
Even though I'm leaning towards more like an 8.50.
I'm going to go 8.80.
Okay.
You're going straight 9?
We both might be a little hopeful, but yeah.
I don't know. I mean, considering the legacy of this franchise, I don't think that's completely out of the water, especially because it has, like, even just with its, like, typical weekend, it's at, like, the 3rd highest opening. Mm-hmm. It's right under Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, and Lilo and Stitch is on track to make $1 billion, so just barely, but $1 billion.
If they just keep it in theaters long enough.
Yeah. And I think that's what they're going to do.
Sure.
It's just keep it until it hits it so they can say that they have $1 billion movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm honestly kind of surprised Minecraft didn't do it. They might not have done that because of when they tried to do the whole, like, blockout party thing with the screenings where they were, like, encouraging madness. They did, like, some special thing. I don't even know.
Maybe, but also Warner Brothers has been doing really strong despite just that one movie. I fear Disney needed this.
Yeah.
More than Warner Brothers needs $1 billion. Because even they I don't think are struggling nearly as much as others. At least this year, because they have Sinners, which is very successful. They have Minecraft, which is very successful, and they have Final Destination, all of which are huge wins for them this year so far.
Very true. And Universal is going to have Wicked. So.
Yeah.
But I do think Disney's probably not crazy worried because hopefully they still remember that Zootopia 2 and Avatar 3 are coming out. And Tron. Well, Tron movies haven't done that great, especially with Jared Leto. So we're going to see. The trailer
Tron.
looks really good, but
We'll see. I
We'll
will
see
say with
about that
Fantastic
one.
Four, after looking at all the numbers, I think it's going to be very hard for it not to be more successful than the last ones.
oh, yeah.
Like, that number will be higher.
Best case scenario that Superman and Fantastic Four both way overperform. Like, that would be awesome. Because I know, like, Grace has early on been talking about they're both probably going to be in the 600-700 range as an endpoint. I'm still not going to put my cards on either one making $1 billion yet. We'll see how the opening weekends are. But I do hope it overperforms for, like, maybe a little higher, like 700 to 800, you know? That would be really fun.
We'll
see.
I just hope they outperform the other two big superhero movies this year. That, honestly, if they can get a 5 in front of it, and I hate that's where we're at.
I know, but it really is. Like, Thunderbolts was so good, such good word of mouth, but then they just didn't show up for it. It didn't work like it usually does. So I'm worried. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, that being said, our last thing before we let you all go today is our draft pick updates.
Yeah.
So we have just added the release of Jurassic World Rebirth, and that is on your team. And we've updated all of the scores, so I think we both gained a couple more points with our, you know,
updates of box office
updates as we go. So I don't have any new movies on my list, but I have the scores from How to Train Your Dragon, Dangerous Animals, Megan 2, and Life of Chuck, which ultimately adds up to 235.
Sure.
You have the addition of Jurassic World Rebirth, which is at 54, which is your second lowest so far. The only one beneath it is Materialists at 52.
Yeah. The Rotten Tomato score did not do me any favors.
It did not.
Or neither did the cinema score. Like the scores and the ratings. And I picked that one first because of box office, to be totally honest with you. So
Fair.
Yeah.
So that does put you at a combined total of 368 points. So far, your heaviest hitter is F1.
Man, we'll see what happens with Superman next week. Or this week. Oh my gosh. Anyways. We'll
Very
see.
exciting. I'm very excited for our Superman weekend. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that. We have some also fun episodes coming out. Ironheart just finished. And then we also recently finished The Pit. So we have some fun television episodes coming at you shortly as well. So stay tuned for more of that on whatever platform you are watching. But until then, I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your other host, Alicia.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in to Not So Straight Nerds.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.